screen.
Welcome to the Bloomington Rotary Club's weekly celebration of service for March 2nd, 2021. I'm your current president, Ashley Wesley. Thank you so much for being here. Natalie, would you please show the flag graphic for 15 seconds of respectful silence? We ask that everyone remains on mute and take this time to personally reflect. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Sally Gaskell, who will be offering our reflection. Sally?
Thank you, Ashley. So I am very pleased to announce that February is gone. It may be the shortest month, but with all due respect to T.S. Eliot, for me, it is the cruelest, and especially this year with the inability to travel and escape it, if you can. But now it's March, and today we woke up with sunshine, the promise of some warmth, and the bulbs are coming out of the ground. But of course, March brings something else. At least down in Florida and Arizona, it brings baseball. I became a baseball fan as a young girl living on a farm in Missouri in the 1960s. I learned to love baseball listening to games on the radio from Kansas City and St. Louis, but also from many other cities all over the country. Baseball, in fact, brought the world to me back then. And I have continued to love the sounds of the game, the look of it, the stats, and the long, long grind of the season. One of my favorite quotes about the game is from Bart Giamatti, who went from being the president of Yale University and a Renaissance literature scholar to his dream job, president of the National League. Quote, "It breaks your heart. It is designed to break your heart. The game begins in the spring when everything else begins again, and it blossoms in the summer, filling the afternoons and evenings, and then as soon as the chill rains come, it stops and leaves you to face the fall all alone. You count on it, rely on it to buffer the passage of time, to keep the memory of sunshine and high skies alive, and then just when the days are all twilight, when you need it most, it stops." So I shout, hurrah, that we have emerged from the long months of no baseball to spring. It's going to be weird again this year. I'm, for example, not exactly planning on going to any games, but it's back. Play ball.
Thank you so much, Sally. And it really is a joyful time, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Even though I don't follow any particular team, I like the idea of it. Okay, we have a few guests with us today. Judy Schroeder, would you like to introduce your guests?
Yes, I have two guests, Alan Edmonds, retired math professor who's active in earth care here in Bloomington, and Tim Londergan, retired physics professor who is co-founder of Concerned Scientists at IU.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. And Dave Meyer, would you introduce your guest today?
Thank you. Thank you, President Ashley. I'd like to introduce Brian Boyd, who is joining us for a second week in a row. We're delighted to have him as our guest today. Thank you.
Welcome. Did anyone else slip in that I missed here? I don't think so. Carolyn Fry is here. Carolyn Fry is a guest from the Sunrise Rotary Club. Thank you for being here. And I think everyone else is a member, so welcome. Thanks to our producers, Natalie Blaze, Michael Shermis, Sally Gaskell, and Aaron Davis. And roundabout reporter for this week is Sarah Laughlin. We have a few birthdays. Raj Dawi is tomorrow, March 3rd. And Bob Salzberg is March 6th. Happy birthday. Membership anniversaries, John Hobson, 36 years. Thank you so much for being a part of the Rotary family. And we have an exciting membership announcement from Dave Meyer. Dave?
Thank you again, President Ashley. I am delighted on behalf of the club to welcome John Zodi as a returning Rotarian to our club. We will have another returning Rotarian to announce next week, but you'll have to tune in then to find out who that is.
Thank you. Welcome back, John. We're so pleased to have him with us. Okay, we have a few Rotarians in the news this week. Connie Chikalis published a story in Sunday's Herald Times about 2018-19 Global Grant Scholar Aubrey Cedar and the connection she's made through Rotary with ripples around the world. From the Mercy Ships program through the power of the arts and its ability to build connection and empathy through storytelling, Aubrey built connections that improve lives and amplify voices in many unique ways with the help of Rotary, the Global Grant Scholar Program, and all of the degrees in between. I recommend you check out that article. It was nice, a highlight of the degrees of separation, and it was quite inspiring. Speaking of degrees of separation, a Bloomington Rotary connection was hidden in national news. JT Waring, who used to be a member of our club and now is in Los Angeles, brought to our attention that the hero LA County Fire Captain Jeannie Barrett, the lead rescuer of famous golf pro Tiger Woods from his vehicle accident, is none other than the daughter of Jim Barrett, granddaughter of the late Fred Barrett, and great-granddaughter of the equally late James Matthews. Her great-grandfather James was the co-founding sergeant of arms of our club in 1918, and her grandfather Fred served as our president in 1964-65. So interesting connection there, and really along the lines of the degrees of separation. So moving on to a note of sad news, Rotarian Jim Sims' daughter, Kamisha Sims, passed away on February 24th. And a visitation will be held tomorrow, March 3rd, from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Lighthouse Community Church, located at 850 East Winslow. Due to COVID limitations, the funeral services will be limited to family members and a few close friends. But the service will be streamed live at Facebook. You can find the information on the obituary, but it's Lighthouse Community Church Bloomington at their Facebook page. It's 12 noon on Thursday. And in lieu of flowers, the family is asking that contributions be made to the Kamisha R. Sims Memorial Nursing Scholarship Fund, currently at the Community Foundation of Bloomington and Monroe County. You can make contributions online at their website at the Donate Now area, or you can write a check to the Community Foundation. We'll include this information in the roundabout for you. Online condolences can also be made at dayjeremiahfry.com to share a note with the family. So I hate to pass along that bad news, but if we could keep Jim and his family and Doris close in our thoughts, it would be much appreciated. We had a Friends of the Foundation event on Friday, February 26th, and there were some highlights to note that I wanted to share with you guys. Mike Baker was recognized as our district's newest major donor, so congratulations, Mike. Lance Eberly was recognized as one of our district's 10 newest Paul Harris Society members, so congratulations, Lance. And Bloomington Sunrise Rotary was the 2018-19 runner-up in the district in per capita foundation giving at $267 per member on average. Congratulations, Sunrise. That is a huge accomplishment. I just wanted to give them a shout out. Greensburg was number 1, and New Albany number 3. So Bloomington was well represented on that list, and we appreciate their efforts. And an important announcement along with the foundation, through the generosity of the late past district governor, Judy Bush, who died last August, you can receive 1 point for each dollar you contribute to the Rotary Foundation through June 1st. Judy left $25,000 in her estate to the Rotary Foundation, generating recognition points of that same value, which her husband, Bedford Rotarian John Bush, has made available for this matching point program on her behalf. To donate to the Rotary Foundation, you can contact Natalie or go to rotary.org and click on the donate button. If you donate to the annual share fund, half of the money will come back to the Southern Indiana District in 3 years to support our district charitable projects like the grants that we receive to help local community partners. So consider that, and maybe we can join Sunrise in the foundation giving marks that they've currently received in the next year. So consider making a contribution today. All right, let's have some happy dollars. Does anyone have anything happy to share? Jim Bright.
Yeah, actually, Ann and I, one day last week, happened to drive by a hangout that you know well, the Crestmont Boys and Girls Clubs. And on that Rotary Centennial Playground, it was full of kids just having a ball. And for those of you who were members of our club in 2018, our club's centennial year, you know that our club raised, I think it was $100,000 to put that playground in there. So anyway, made us happy, I'll tell you. So
Thanks, Jim. And I'll tell you guys, I'm here every day. Well, not every day right now, but I see kids playing out there and they're having the time of their lives. They love it. They're all masked. They're all safe. But it's truly an asset to this community. So thank you all for contributing to that.
Ashley, I'd like to donate $5 of happy dollars in honor of the new exhibit at the Monroe County History Museum. See Her Run, with our own Charlotte Zitlow playing a lead role.
Thank you.
Ashley, I would like to contribute $10 an hour of our friend Rotarian presentation, Joy Harter, for her last week presentation. I had a chance to read it in the summary, and I learned a lot more than what I thought I understood as the presentation. I'm sure many of people on my age, they think we got it, but with truth, we need to repeat to get it. So thank you, Joy.
And I will second Owen's dedication to the History Center exhibit. Please go and see it sometime. And there will be online things about it as well, about the local women who have run and won public office in the last 100 years. So thanks, Owen.
Steve Engel.
Yeah, I would like to contribute $5 happy dollars because I'm truly happy because for the first day in 7 weeks, I've had the splint taken off my left leg. And so it can actually bend, and I drove my car for the first time in 7 weeks, and I feel like a new man. It's great.
Okay,
That's amazing. Congratulations.
I would like to give $10 because I'm happy being a Rotarian with all you nice people. It brings joy to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
I like to donate $10 because I have a sore arm from my second Pfizer shot yesterday, and I'm celebrating that. Thank you.
Yay. Any other happy news to share?
Yeah, this is Sarah. I've got $10 for maple syrup experience, and another sure sign of spring.
Yay.
I'll kick in $5. I'm getting my second COVID shot tomorrow. I think the sense of relief is wonderful.
Yes. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
I will kick in $5. I've now joined Dick McKeag in Arizona for a few months.
No kidding.
All right.
Oh, lucky.
Ashley? Yes, I'll have to give $10, $5 because my wife and I got our second shot, and my maple syrup venture is moving forward, and we've started to bottle. We got about 8 bottles so far. So,
oh my gosh,
That's great.
he's been spending a lot of time reducing.
Okay. Last call for happy dollars. All right. Thank you for sharing. That's always a bright spot. So thanks for kicking in for that. And now I'd like to introduce Connie Shikalis, who will introduce our speaker for today. Connie?
Thank you, President Ashley. Who are you was always a big question for Jim Poyser, author of The Last Actor, his novella named for its anchor story. Indeed, when I reviewed his novella last fall, I too wondered who this man is who writes, "The veins on the back of my left hand took the shape of the Pope petting a possum," or this, "I even had to take my clothes off because my shirt wrinkles formed a Queen Nefertiti in a neck brace tutu. My pants displayed an alligator devouring a cigarless Groucho Marx." I loved Poyser's zany descriptions, although the man reading next to me said, "It sounds like my old college friend's LSD trips." Jim Poyser is also, and that's what he's telling us about today, Executive Director of Earth Charter Indiana, a statewide nonprofit that pairs youth activists with adults to advance climate action in Indiana that is intergenerational. He has written in many genres, and his new project, Climate Follies, is a collection of short theatrical comedies exploring the climate emergency, now also slated as a podcast. He lives with his wife, Patricia Wildhack, along the White River in Indianapolis. Welcome, Jim. What's going on with our climate?
Never a dull moment. Thank you, Connie, and thank you all. This surely must be the most robust and esteemed Rotary Club in all the land. There's some old friends on this, these tiles here, and I really appreciate being able to share a little bit about climate progress in Indiana. I know that doesn't always seem like it's the case, but I'm going to share my screen and get started, and there'll be time for questions when I'm done. All right, how are we looking there? Connie, thumbs up. Ashley, thank you so much. All right, so that's my business card. I'll drop my email into the chat at the end so you can get hold of me if you would like. A little bit about me. Born and raised in South Bend on the West End. Moved to Bloomington in '76, double major, English and telecom. The great experience coming out of college for me was to help start the Bloomington Playwrights Project. I was the first dramaturg and literary manager for that organization that continues to flourish and hold true to its mission of new plays. But my association with IU is not, and Bloomington is not just the past. I'm very involved with the Environmental Resilience Institute and the Indiana Environmental Reporter and the Integrated Program for the Environment. So things continue to evolve in terms of my relationship with Indiana University. So Earth Charter Indiana, we're 20 years old this year. Earth Charter Indiana is based on the Earth Charter, which is a set of principles, blueprint for sustainability. And we like to think of our mission as an intergenerational climate action. We empower youth at the juncture of civic and climate science. We have 3 full-time staff, and we have 9 contractors that we call Resiliency Coordinators. They're dotted around the state of Indiana. I will also drop into the chat when I'm done the registration form for our 20-year anniversary that's coming up on March 13th. We just started a Youth Ambassadors program for kids 7 to 10 years old, and it's sure to make you inspired to hear these wonderful kids. They have so much joy, so much optimism that we can actually address the climate crisis. we're showing the short version of the I Am Greta documentary. As I said, climate progress. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I think you maybe would have had Bloomington in South Bend working on a master sustainability plan termed, in one way or another. But in about 4 years, a lot has happened. Nearly 40 cities and counties are engaged in some kind of significant climate action. Greenhouse gas inventory with the Environmental Resilience Institute, as I mentioned. We work intimately with them on numerous municipalities and counties. A whole bunch of cities are doing climate action planning. We have climate emergency declarations kind of all over the place. I'll get to one of those in a little bit. And there's a lot of climate recovery resolutions led by youth. One of those climate recovery resolutions was right there in your town. Maddie and Jarrett. I don't know if any of you were in attendance that day, but that was a pretty amazing experience to hear these kids advocate for what we call a climate recovery resolution. This is based on our Children's Trust project in Eugene, Oregon in 2014 that passed the country's first climate recovery ordinance, actually led by young people. So we've had 7 total and more on the way. Pretty excited. It looks like April is going to be a climate resolution blitz. We've got Muncie, Richmond, Terre Haute, Zionsville are all working towards April hearings. So fingers crossed that they will get support from their city councils. I like how bipartisan this project has been. We've passed the very first climate recovery resolution in 2017 in Carmel, Indiana, which is a completely Republican town. And by that I mean the mayor and the city council are all Republicans. And in numerous other cities that are either veered toward Republican or Democrat, we've been able to pass this. It's been unanimous in all cases but Indianapolis, and the vote in Indianapolis was 20-4 in the city county council, which means the majority of Republicans voted for it. So we might be finding a way to actually cut through the fog, cut through the dichotomy of this by empowering young people to be respectful and to grapple with the science, but then also to learn the civic structure of their city and their county. So it's really twin crises. We have the climate crisis and we have the civics crisis. And so I feel like we can address both those crises with this one lovely project. I'm pretty sure that Indiana leads the country in the number of these resolutions. Now, when did you ever hear Indiana leading anything when it comes to climate? But if you've got 7 and we have a handful more, I don't think any state has this many youth-led climate resolutions where they literally work with the mayor, they work with the city council, they get up, they testify, they do PowerPoint presentations on climate change to the city council. These are really extraordinary experiences and joyful and even fun. One of our more exciting projects right now is the Northwest Indiana Regional Resilience Program. We have literally 14 cities and 3 counties working with Earth Charter and Environmental Resilience Institute. It's the largest resiliency project in the state. What that means is 14 cities and 3 counties are going to do their greenhouse gas inventory all at the same time. We're going to have to commandeer about 6 interns for that. 2 of them will come from the ISDP program at IU, and then we're going to gather 4 other interns up in that part of the state. And it's going to be a vast and exciting project where an entire region is going to be grappling with doing an emissions assessment And what that does, this project actually gets people on a track to 2 more stages. The first stage is the greenhouse gas inventory. The second stage is to then build your climate action plan. And then the third stage is to start to implement strategies, ordinances, resolutions to begin to address the emissions reductions that we so sorely need. So this is going to be big. So we have a lot of education initiatives. The Thriving Schools Challenge. We actually are able to get money into schools up to about $5,000 so they can do sustainability projects that teach systems thinking and circular economy. The one thing that I think makes this project work successfully is that we also pay teachers. A teacher will get a check up to $1,000 to champion this particular project. And it could be a school garden, it could be a zero waste cafeteria, it could be a LED conversion at a school. And so the teacher is able to take that money and buy a bicycle or something. They don't have to use it toward the project, but how many of you know teachers that just spend all their money on helping their kids that they teach? So that's a great project. We got about 20 schools signed up in phase 1, and we are growing this outside of Marion County. We have a school in Danville right now, which I think is pretty sweet to be getting into the Danville area. And then eventually we're going to get into other parts of the city. So this other parts of the state. So this could be a great opportunity for Bloomington schools, and this is K through 12, to apply for a grant and make one of their dreams come true for a vast verma composting system or something like that. In the beginning of COVID, we accelerated our efforts to create a climate literacy toolkit for teachers and for parents. We call it teachclimate.org. And we do a lot of climate camps with kids too. In the summer at Peace Learning Center at Eagle Creek Park, we combine art, nature, eat vegan, and climate science, STEM, you name it, and creek stomping on top of it. All right, so what are some of these specific successes? As I mentioned, there's a climate emergency declaration. On February 1st, West Lafayette declared a climate emergency declaration following Chesterton and Porter the previous year. Also in West Lafayette, there's a group of kids who launched Climate Kids on February 13th. This is a STEM influenced outside of school program that teaches climate resilience. As far as my limited experience goes, I'm not seeing that the STEM community is addressing the climate emergency. But so these high school kids are kind of connecting the dots in the ways that the professional adults have not been able to. So this is going to be a very exciting project that we're going to be able to see unfold. There's a little bit more about the Climate Kids. This is a remarkable thing that I believe I've discovered, which is that no category of first responders, be it nurses, firefighters, police, crisis interventionists, are educated on climate impacts. I'm letting that sink in. How does a first responder know how to do their job as the climate destabilizes? This is a bizarre finding that I sort of stumbled upon last summer. So we got these Fort Wayne High School kids that are working with the local firefighter to devise a series of pilot programs, pilot videos to talk about preparing the firefighter community for the climate crisis. These are a bunch of high school kids. Now the second row to the down on the left, that's Craig Smith, who's an awesome guy. I just met him over Zoom this year, and he's advising this particular group. Bottom right there, Jessica Frank is the School of Social Work. She's getting her master's, so she's been interning with us, and she's been really helping us move this idea forward within the School of Social Work to see if we couldn't require an O'Neill School class or two for social workers as they prepare for the professional world. I don't know. I think it's a great idea. So what the heck is happening in Terre Haute, you might ask? So these kids, they call themselves the Earthlings, environmental environmental activists for a resilient Terre Haute. This is a group of 10 and 11-year-olds working with a couple of high school kids. They've now met 4 times with their superintendent. And what are they demanding? Climate literacy, K through 12. They are the only community in the state to have a regular Fridays for Future action. And they got some front page news too. It's another remarkable thing about Terre Haute is they're getting a lot of positive coverage in the newspaper and the television. So this is remarkable. They're part of the resilience cohort. They're going to be doing a greenhouse gas inventory, and they're doing all these other activities. It just goes to show you when you have a bunch of motivated kids who are supported by their parents and grandparents, that some really exciting things can happen. This is a kind of a wonderful thing. The Confront the Climate Crisis kids, which are also the kids doing the Climate Kids project, the STEM project up in West Lafayette. This is a statewide effort to go door to door with climate literature. So this was them just a couple of weeks ago. I think there's going to be one in Bloomington, or there was one in Bloomington. They went around and handed out these things or put them on doorknobs. Kind of a dream come true for me that kids could go door to door and actually talk to people about the climate crisis. Sort of like Jehovah's Witnesses, but with brochures of science. And then this is really cool too, because it's right down the block from me. Some students at Shortridge High School, they're really using their International Baccalaureate program to declare a climate emergency for their school, the first effort in the state to do so. And in the process of planning this, they've been also able to get 2 other high schools in Indianapolis in the IPS system to do so as well. So we could now start to see a rash of high schools declaring a climate emergency. And then, you know, COVID's been so tough in so many ways, but I'm telling you, it's actually been exciting to see how high school kids are ready and willing and excited to organize around climate. I think they got that, you know, COVID was as they say, a dress rehearsal for the climate crisis. But they also have a little bit more bandwidth, right? They're sleeping in a little bit, which conforms to the brain science of adolescence. And they don't have as many extracurricular activities. So they've got a little bit more bandwidth and they've been organizing. So I'll be on Zooms routinely with kids from all over the state. I'll be on one tonight. And I don't know who's going to show up, but there'll be kids from all over. So a couple of things coming up. As I mentioned, we've got the screening of I Am Greta. And I'll put the link into the chat. There's a global climate strike on March 19th. There's going to be a rally at the State House. And you can follow us in a couple of those platforms there. earthcharterindiana.org is our website, the mothership. And there again is our nice little meme. And I stuck this at the end. This is the previous Rotary Club in Bloomington that I attended. Dr. Brabson was talking about the book that he had done, collaborating with Joe Lee. And I asked Joe the other day if he would just kind of sketch up an image that I had, because what we're seeing in the Indiana State House and other sectors of our community, that an effort to squeeze every last drop of fossil fuels that can possibly be squeezed. So Joe Lee is one of my oldest and dearest friends, and I think he did a beautiful job with this particular image, evoking this last ditch effort. And that's it. Michael, could you unshare my screen? Thank you. Uh-oh.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim. We have plenty of time for questions. So who has the first question? Connie?
Jim, excellent speech, really encouraging. What do you and the kids have to say to people who say, it's too late, we've wrecked the earth, we've wrecked the climate?
No one will say that to a child.
Yes.
That's been the whole beauty of this for me. You know, I was in the newspaper business and was trying to do as much coverage of the climate as I possibly could. And I just was losing all hope. It seems the ants have overrun the anthill. And as soon as I encountered this Eugene, Oregon ordinance led by kids in 2014, that effort actually was the kids were suing their governors. As soon as I saw that, I thought, this could be it for me, you know, and I didn't have any idea how I would do that. But Earth Charter Indiana was looking for their first
Director.
Executive director, and I sort of, it was kismet and concatenation combined. And I have seen the hearts of conservatives melt in the face of children, beseeching them to pay attention to their future. Young people have the moral persuasion, they have the leverage to actually make a difference. And quite honestly, present company accepted, I would rather work with kids than trying to change adults. I think it's a tough row to hoe with adults. We're habituated. With kids, they don't belong to a political party. They haven't made a lot of decisions. They just have decided that they would like to have a livable planet. So I think I would have a really hard time with the predicament that we're in if I wasn't working with kids. Now I have to be straight with them, you know, like if I wax too positively or optimistically, they'll call me out in public. They will call BS on me. Kids don't need to be lied to about the prospects. In fact, I asked one high school kid who actually, she's now a sophomore at IU in the O'Neill School. I said, Cora, what do I say to these kids? And she said, just tell them the truth. It doesn't look good right now, but we're not gonna not try. So thank you, Cora. She told me that when she was about 17 years old. So I listened to the wisdom of children.
I want to say, as a person who's been in on the scholarships selection for the high school students here, that they have given me hope that the kids at North and South and Edgewood, they all concentrate on climate change, and they're very, very interested in making it not happen. So I just want to validate my experience from talking to young people is, yeah, they're the ones we have to look to for joy.
Yeah, you're right. They're great, great schools of all levels in Bloomington, doing amazing work in educating their kids in sustainability.
Yes, it's amazing. It's heartwarming. So onward and upward.
Jim, I'm interested in maybe a little bit more of the detail of how you help facilitate these young people to achieve success, because I know that, I mean, just a little bit more in the weeds of how it works, how you work with a group of kids in a community to help them.
Sure. And I dropped that link to our anniversary celebration on March 13th. And our plan is to have a lot of these kids that I have showed you today are going to show up and show off a little bit about what they're doing after the I Am Greta documentary. So you might, Dave, you might be able to interact directly with them. It's a little different in every municipality, and which it should be. And I noted early in my presentation, we have 9 resiliency coordinators. So let's say Terre Haute, for example, the key to the success there is we hired Shika Bhattacharya to, we contracted with her. And so she puts in 20, 25, 30 hours a month. And so we have an adult on the ground that is the connection to that group of kids. In fact, 2 of her sons are on the Earthlings squad. So in that case, Dave, it really is a matter of me handing the main responsibilities to an adult in that town. I've born and raised in Indiana and lived here my whole life, but I can't pretend to know what a particular municipality really is looking for. So I kind of, I leave it up to the local control as opposed to our state house.
Yes.
Sneak
around them.
What's that, Charlotte?
Sneak around them.
Right. But, I mentioned we do climate camps. And so in a way, we work in schools, and there's going to be some key kids that emerge as leaders in a school project. And those are the kids we want to invite into our camps. And then once they get into the camps, then they're looking at some more sophisticated activities, such as getting a meeting with a state legislator, or getting a meeting with the mayor, or whatever they are interested in doing. And it really is about, can they create a community amongst themselves too, because that's where the real strength will be, if they can create their own group to hang out with, because that's really all they want to do, right?
Do you have funding? You have funding. Where does that come from?
We have 3 anchor funders. The McKinney Family Foundation, which is so instrumental to so many different organizations in Indiana. They also fund the ISDP intern program with the Environmental Resilience Institute. And STAC might be a recognizable name to people on the call. And Charlie Sutphin through the Netherly Foundation. Those are our 3 funders that have been giving us great support for a number of years now. They also happen to be really dear friends of mine too. These all 3, the McKinneys and Stack and Charlie, are all people that I've known for 30 years. So that helps as well. We get grants from Energy Foundation, and always looking for additional funding in that way. We just wrote our first grant to Cliff Bar Foundation for our Thriving Schools Challenge. We have a membership program too, where people, donate money to us as well.
Thank you.
A big funder and let me add this, Charlotte, real quick. A big funder recently has become Herb Simon Family Foundation.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
And they are really making our Resiliency Coordinator program pop.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And we're going to just keep contracting more and more of those coordinators. We're hoping to get one in New Albany and East Chicago and Columbus and
do you have one in Bloomington?
We got you.
Okay. Well, okay. Now they better get to work then. Yeah.
There are other communities that need more climate action than Bloomington.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, Aaron, how are you?
Okay. I wanted to ask you what the refocusing of the climate justice and crisis movement on resilience has done. What has that added to, the gestalt that is making it more successful?
Well, you've been in this business for a long time, Aaron. You know that we're just chasing after the right term, hoping to unlock the human potential to actually solve these giant problems that we have. And I know I was resistant to the idea of resiliency. I was honestly resistant to the idea of greenhouse gas inventories. Like, we're on the cusp of climate collapse. What are we worrying about measuring things for? But it turns out that's how you get a lot of people interested in this.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go for it. It's not like anybody's, really listening. So resiliency just kind of became that buzzword. And now, now what's the new R word, Aaron? Reliability, right? This is what's slowing down the move to renewable energy is the idea that renewables aren't going to be reliable enough.
Is Texas, is that a poster child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something about resiliency that I think connects to the transition town movement, which is fairly, I think, a couple decades old at this point. If you know what I'm talking about?
No.
There've been, and of course, when, like, our board president Rosemary, she's just always cleaning her bookshelf, and she's giving me stuff. And I know you all know what I'm talking about. We had all this stuff figured out decades ago,
Yeah, we
right?
did. Yeah.
And maybe the word resiliency wasn't used, but the values and the principles around how we were going to get through.
Yeah.
I think that resilience as a term has contributed to the idea of, well, we could admit that there's a real problem. We can admit that we're going to take a hit, but we're going to bounce back. And so I think that it helps to build the hopefulness.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I've never been a fan of the dichotomy of adaptation or mitigation. I understand there's a distinction, but there's a whole lot of things that you do to adapt that also mitigate. And there's a lot of things you can do to mitigate that also adapt. So I think there's a nice Venn diagram overlap with those two things. And I think maybe the resilience word gets to that overlap too.
And I think all of these, we can say is we're at the end. The kids just are saying, wait a minute, I have a good, we can't be resigned. We have to be resilient. Because I think some people think we should just resign ourselves to the end, but that's unacceptable.
I'm really excited what's going to come out of West Lafayette with this climate kids.
Yes, I think that's exciting.
These are high school juniors. and they're focusing on resilience. They're building little resilience libraries. You know, those like a free library that
Yes,
are
yes.
everywhere. They're going to focus on resilience. They're going to have literature. They're going to have seeds. They're going to have food in those. And I think that's just really interesting that they're going to actually focus on resilience as part of their STEM education.
Interesting. Yeah. Very exciting, Jim. Thank you.
Hey, Jim, I've got a question.
Yeah.
So what kind of, activities that are maybe trying to connect to nature and, outdoor activities and sort of, kids love to go outside and stuff. Are there any connections with sort of, the outdoor world and how that, is affected by, the climate crisis?
Yeah, I mean, you mean in terms of
About the
work, Jim?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the kids. Yeah.
I think principally our camps are that. Like I used the word creek stomp earlier. That's what I missed the most that last summer when we couldn't do camps in person, because the previous year we'd actually had taken a water quality testing kit out to the creek at Eagle Creek Park, tested the water, and it was okay to go in. And the kids, they spent all day in the creek. It was the most fun day ever. So we do a lot of that in our camps. Of course, a school garden is a great way to get kids outdoors as well. So many good organizations in Indiana are really dedicated more to the nature connection. We try to do it all. We try to do the climate science, the STEM, the arts. Yeah.
Any other questions for Jim? Comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all the information. I hope that we'll all take advantage of watching that documentary and hearing directly from the kids. I think that's a great opportunity. So thank you for sharing. In honor of your presentation today, we'll be making a donation to Beacon, which is our quarterly speaker recognition recipient. So thank you for being with us. And we're going to hear from Sally about next week's program before we officially close.
Yes, so next week on Zoom, please join us to hear Jennifer Pearl, Executive Director of the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation, who will be talking about economic development across Monroe County, post-pandemic and future.
Thank you. All right, Natalie, would you share a four-way test for us? And we'll say that together. Of the things we think,
say, and do.
First,
is it the truth?
second,
fair to all concerned.
third,
will build goodwill and better friendships.
Fourth,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned.
And fifth,
is it fun?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, if we don't have any follow-up questions for Jim, we are